Hey there, Starcraft 2 fans, and welcome to another team analysis game. Today we're going to be looking at a 2 versus 2. We have myself here, the Red Terran, and this is actually my real-life brother, Lonely Int, the Blue Zerg. Up here in the upper right-hand corner we have Tyler Durden, the Teal or Cyan Protoss player, and we have the Dark Lord, the Purple Protoss player. So double Protoss on this particular team. My brother plays Zerg quite a bit. He also enjoys Protoss, but in this particular match he does quite well, using Ultralisk to our advantage big time toward the end. I go Marine Marauder Medevac pretty much in this build, and I will show you why that is not always the best idea, because unfortunately both the Protoss players decide to use High Templar, which are quite devastating and really get on my nerves quite a bit, but that's just part of the game. You'll see me rage a little bit, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and throw down my supply depot here at the front. Obviously create a little wall. It's probably not always the best idea. If I knew we were going against both Protoss players, I don't think I would have done this. I think one of them was random. But typically going against Protoss players, not always the best idea to wall, simply because Void Rays can charge up on those front buildings and then just basically work their way through your base with a full charge, just damaging everything in their wake. Here goes the barracks now. Lonely Ant throwing up his spawning pool out here. He's at 14 supply right now, so that was probably either a 13 or 14 pool. Continuing to drone up. Go ahead and get the extractor. The purple Protoss player going ahead and throwing up his gateway. Got his first gas on the way. He decided not to throw down any buildings at the front of his base. That's a little bit unusual for Protoss, but probably not entirely unorthodox. The teal Protoss player, you can see he actually did decide to go up and throw double gateway down, so typically this indicates a rush. Most likely if I would have seen this, I think I did scout it, it would have indicated probably going to be some zealots coming out pretty quickly. Actually, we don't even see any being produced, and he's not supply blocked, and he does have the minerals, so that is a little bit unusual. Typically Protoss players are going to go ahead and throw down that cybernetics core before getting that second gateway, but maybe just a little bit different play style from Tyler here. He does have his gas on the way. He is sitting at 18 of 18 supply, so he will be needing to get down another pylon pretty quickly here, which is probably what this probe is doing. I've finished scouting now. Go ahead and bring back my units. The purple Protoss player, he's going to go ahead and do a little bit of scouting of his own. And Spine Crawler going down here for the Blue Zerg. He does have his second gas now on the way. Queen is up. She needs to go ahead and inject, maybe. Oh, gonna throw down a creep tumor. Probably not a bad choice. There's been some debate I've read about on Team Liquid of whether to go creep tumor or inject first. This helps you get down to your natural quite a bit more quickly, especially on these maps where the ramp is so far out in front of your base. You have all this distance to cover with creep before you can get down to get your natural. You'll see I've started to produce a couple Marines, got my second barracks on the way with a tech lab. Third barracks actually on the way, second barracks building a tech lab. Getting my second gas. Typically on the Marine Marauder build, you don't need the second gas too early. That's why this is so delayed. You really only need it when you're going to go ahead and get your factory and then work on getting a starport, simply because the medevacs require so much extra gas. But just the MMM, if you're going primarily Marine, the Marauders just only require 25 gas, so it doesn't require a whole lot. There's my factory coming down, so you can see that's obviously why I got that second gas, was to get that pumping out pretty quickly. 2 stalkers on the way for the purple Protoss player. He does have his third gateway there and fourth gateway going down. Tactically speaking, I think it's important to note that he did leave just a small gap there. He did actually decide, after getting his primary buildings here, to go ahead and leave some buildings here at the front. Now, this is an excellent way to play, where you have the opponent would have to walk up and around the buildings to get into your base, because any stalkers, or if you place a couple cannons right here, they can defend pretty well to any sort of aggression that comes up inside your base. This is a little bit easier to get through, simply because, yes, there's one choke point here, but once you're past that choke point, this opens up and you can get more units in here. It's always tough to get units up a ramp simply because of the choke point, but once you do, you can really do quite a bit of damage. They do go ahead and collect some units here in the middle. Obviously going to make a little bit of pressure. What do we have? We have 5 zealots and 3 stalkers, so we'll say about 800, 1,000 minerals worth of units here. Going to attack 3 roaches and 2 spine crawlers. Now we'll notice that this isn't extremely effective, mainly because the spine crawlers do quite a bit of damage. You'll see him poke away at those zealots. 2 zealots have already gone down, while he has not lost any roaches. He does go ahead and move up here into the main, probably trying to basically just get through, but you'll notice that that probably wasn't the best idea, because all the time that his units were walking by, he's taking damage from roaches, he's taking damage from spine crawlers, he's not actually doing any damage in return, and he's giving my units time to make their way up here. So if you're going to actually assault the front of a base, you need to assault the front of the base, not make your way through the base, give the other ally a chance to respond, and take damage en route. That's really not the best way to go. Now he does attempt to take out the queen here, but with the queen constantly retreating, the blue Zerg had a chance to pump out some more roaches. He took out 1 overlord and 1 roach, and that's it. So for 3 stalkers and 5 zealots, 1,000 minerals worth of units, he took out only 1 overlord and 1 roach, which is only 150 minerals, I believe. I think a roach is 50. Don't really recall. But in terms of damage, that is very, very not worth it, to be honest. I mean, I was able to come over. He gave me plenty of time to bring my units over, even as slow as Marines and Marauders seem to be sometimes, and to really make an assault there. Now, he does have the proxy pylon down here at the lower section of the map. I've seen on this particular map, because it is so big in terms of height, I've seen a lot of players take and drop their tech down here behind this grass, because typically this isn't scouted. This isn't going to be an area that the opponents are going to scout quite a bit, so they'll drop that pylon, drop a Dark Templar, Dark Shrine, maybe drop a Templar Archives or something like that, just out of the way, out of sight, out of mind. Now we see they do have the Templar Archives. Like I mentioned, they are going Templar tech on this map. I know that the Psystorm nor the Kadarian Crystal are on the way yet, so he's still waiting for that to be researched. Twilight Council just going down for the purple Protoss player, so he's still working his way toward that Templar tech. However, he did get his expansion quite a bit earlier than the teal Protoss player. You see that's nearly complete now. Now unfortunately, this is something that I want to note. I actually loaded up a group of Marines here. I was going to do a little bit of mineral line harassment, and I lost 550 minerals and some gas, basically because I didn't watch this medevac. So once it got to here, I was no longer keeping my eye on this medevac until it was shot down, and it was almost instantly shot down. Now when I went back and watched the replay, I noticed that, fortunately for me, the Protoss player did not have his vision selected here, so he shot that down without even knowing that he did it. So he was still watching his base, so he had no idea that I had medevacs yet, which is actually a good thing. And he had no idea that he shot that down, so it wasn't a confidence booster. It didn't give them the confidence to immediately move out knowing that he had destroyed that medevac. So I was pretty depressed that I had lost those units, I had lost those minerals. Obviously you can see I say crap there. I was a little disappointed by that, but that shows you the importance of really paying attention to your map, paying attention to what's going on. If we take a look over at the APM tab, you'll notice that our APMs are pretty similar. The teal and Protoss players very slightly lower, still definitely good APMs, good enough to do diamond level play, I would say, maybe just platinum, but you know, I've seen some diamond level players around 50, so probably not too far off from there. If we take a look over at the army size now, we'll notice that purple's already up to 66. He does have the largest army right now. Let's see how much of that is actually, yeah, quite a bit of that's actually harvesters. He's got 38 harvesters, whereas I actually only have 25. My brother only has 22, so quite a bit lower. Blue Zerg is throwing down his expansion. Typically Zergs are going to expand more quickly than other players, but it's not always wise in team games, simply because the early expansion means you have less attacking units early on. And if there's any sort of rush like there was earlier, if he didn't have those roaches to defend, most likely that could have been GG, or it could have been a severe detriment to his economy. We do see the Mutalisk coming over here from the Blue Zerg player, going to try and take out the Templar Archives. We do notice that Psystorm has now finished. He is working on the Kadarian Amulet, and a couple more Stalkers going to go down, maybe actually losing a couple of Mutalisks there. However, note that there is no more mining going on at this base. There is no mining going on at this base, so right now if we look at the income tab, we will notice that Teal's income is 0 and only a handful of gas, so that is quite detrimental for the length of time that it's been. he's going to go ahead and finish chrono boosting out that that amulet research to get the spawning energy for the High Templar, which can be quite devastating if you can warp in and immediately attack, use Psystorm with a High Templar. If we look back over here at the purple player's base, he does have the Twilight Council finished and Forge going down, but we don't see the Templar archives yet. No, nowhere to be seen. He is researching armor level 1 for his ground units, which is always a good thing to get, especially if he's going this heavy stalker build. It's always good to have that extra armor on those units. He does have a couple proxy pylons across the map. Definitely a good thing to have. He also has this Selnaga Watchtower captured, so if we look at his vision right now, he's going to have quite a bit of map control in terms of what he can see. He can basically see this entire bottom portion of the map, so any sort of drop that we would attempt to do, he'd definitely be able to spot that out, no problem. Put it back to everyone view. I do have quite a bit of units here, about 15 Marauders, some Marines, a couple Medevacs. At this point I decided, you know, the Mutalisks are flying around here checking out what's going on. Probably time to make a little bit of a push, at least gain a little bit of this map control back, because right now, knowing that he has this much control means that we have less likelihood that we can expand, and basically less ability to do any sort of drops or proxy play, anything like that. You'll notice that the Blue Zerg is actually scouting around the map. It's one thing that the teal player didn't really do very much of, was any sort of scouting. You'll notice he does have his observer here. However, he didn't really fly it around the map. He never really checked this expansion, or anywhere where he might have been able to capture some valuable information, something that they might have been able to take out pretty easily. The group of stalkers here, obviously quite deadly to those Mutalisks, so good thing that they didn't continue to attack. I bring my units around, basically just walking around the map, seeing what I can attack. Found this little proxy pylon here that's 100 minerals that we can take out. If we go over to the Units Lost tab, Purple has lost quite a few units. You notice he's up to 2,900 resources lost, whereas I'm only at 700, my brother's at 1,300, and the Teal Protoss player's at 1,100. So in terms of damage dealt, obviously we've dealt quite a bit of damage to Purple. However, with that early expansion, not to mention the Templar tech coming down right now, he's going to be able to deal a massive amount of damage with basic very little resources. Templars, while they do cost quite a bit in terms of gas, they can definitely pay for themselves quite easily, because with that storm doing the damage that they do, it's really amazing how quickly you can kill units with that particular spell. So we do note that I'm getting my armory up. I'm going to try and get I believe armor and attack level 2 for my units. Actually right now I just have attack level 1 for my infantry. Yeah, working on armor level 2 right now, so a couple more supply depots going down. My saturation's not the best. I somehow managed to always forget to produce SCVs, so notice I'm pumping out 5 there. You never want to queue up this many units. You want to try and allow a unit to complete and then immediately begin producing another one if your macro is that good. You never want to queue up 5 units like that, because it just doesn't, it's not productive. Same thing for the Blue Zerg. You know, he has actually too many drones up here. He should be pumping some down here, but you know, that's just because we're not the best players in the world. That's just all there is to it. I'm going to go ahead and drop down and get the Greater Spire here. With the amount of units that we have, it's actually time for us to do a little bit of pressure of our own. We have quite a few roaches here, about 14 roaches, 15 roaches, not to mention the MM ball that I have. However, they seem to have the same idea. They're going to go ahead and push out, and if we look at how many High Templar that is a ridiculous amount. There's some for the teal player and some for the purple player. High Templars look so awesome when they move. It's got that wave behind them. So with the storms going down here, we watch how quickly this army just melts away. And this is why I really don't like Templar. They really frustrate me. And it's just part of the game that I'm going to have to get used to not charging into the storm and actually doing a little bit of retreating. So in this battle, if we go back over to the Units Lost tab, how quickly my total jumped up. 5,100 units, 5,100 resources worth of units lost. And we did do a lot of damage. All those High Templars were destroyed. And all the Stalkers were destroyed, all the Zealots were taken out. But with these Archons here, there's just not much of a chance we're going to be able to do anything else. So I hop my one lonely Marauder back up in the medevac and retreat back to our base. Now, fortunately we were able to do enough damage that they weren't able to counterattack. You'll notice that they only have a handful of units here. If we look over at the Units tab, they're basically sitting on a Zealot and 3 High Templar, 13 Zealots, 2 Archons, and 3 Stalkers. So not enough to put on any significant pressure. However, they were able to, during that time, Purple was able to expand again, which is a fresh bunch of resources that he's going to have. You notice that he is starting to, actually he's not starting to mine out this particular area, but in terms of gas, he's really got that coming in. He's got this here, both gases here, and then he's going to have both gases down here. So with that amount of gas, he's really going to be able to pump out quite a bit of Templar. And with them knowing that I'm going primarily MMM, that's going to do an immense amount of damage. Now, with the Blue Zerg player, my brother, going Roaches, obviously Templar are not quite as good. Roaches are much more hardy, and the damage dealt just isn't quite as good. So it's kind of unfortunate for them in that regard. If he had gone mainly Zergling Hydra or anything like that, that would have dealt an immense amount of damage, and we would have probably lost the game almost immediately because the Templar would have done so much damage to those units right off the bat. So Purple obviously posturing to make an attack. I think at some point this got scouted. If we look at Purple's, actually no, it hasn't been scouted. He's just doing a little bit of scouting right now with his whole army. So he's going to go ahead and push up here. This is probably a good thing to do. If we take a look just from a tactical standpoint, we've left Teal down here with his units. So if we were to make, if our team, Blue and Red, were to make any sort of counterattack against this particular base, they've got a good wall here, they've got a good choke point. Now, the Templar are going to really be able to deal the damage. They've got quite a few Zealots to tank some damage. And with Purple over here doing this amount of damage, he's definitely going to be able to take out this expansion no problem, even if he were to get flanked and attacked by our units. He did bring his Templar along, so he's going to be able to deal a lot of damage with that. So unfortunately, we just kind of have to let that particular expansion fall, because knowing that we only see Purple up here, that means that Teal could be anywhere behind him, ready to flank, ready to attack. We don't really know without having vision of the map. If we take a look up here, Teal's also decided to expand. Purple, he's gone ahead and made his expansion, and I did decide to scan down here and notice that there is an expansion, and I'm going to go eye for an eye. If he's going to take out our expansion, we definitely need to look at taking out his expansion. The amount of probes down here, you notice he has quite a bit of saturation. None on gas, unfortunately. Actually, one probe on gas. If he was mining that gas, he would definitely be able to pump out some more Templar. Does have quite a bit of gas, so I guess he could pump out a few now if he wanted. The amount of cannons here can be a little frustrating. You just have to basically stem, run into it, and let your Marauders deal the damage. It's difficult to do. You're definitely going to lose some units. It's not like you're going to walk in here and just completely survive everything. But fortunately, with all these probes, I guess, deciding that they want to attack my army, that was a little bit unusual. Typically, you'll see them trying to retreat. One tip to note, if you highlight all of your workers and then click on any other mineral patch, they're going to traverse through all of my attacking units. You're going to lose a lot, there's no doubt about that, but they will make it through most of my attacking units. We do see these Templar come down here, and this is perhaps the most narrow escape I have ever made, because all these medevacs, actually, I guess that one would die if it was to get feedbacked. That one would die if it was to get feedback, and that one would not. So there's two medevacs there that would have died. So he is ready to issue a feedback command and just can't quite catch these medevacs. Had that have happened, I would have really been at a disadvantage because I would have lost so many units. So I'm going to go ahead and bring down some of my units and engage this. I did go ahead and pump out a Ghost Academy, obviously, because with these Templar you've got to do something. You'll notice that most of these Templar now are either out or very low on energy, which is a huge advantage to me because I'm able to destroy them with basically no problem. These ones that are retreating, go ahead and knock those guys out. Pick up that observer because I saw the blur. It's a free kill. Why not take it? You'll notice that the Blue Zerg player going ahead and doing some damage. He does have Broodlords out now, which are very devastating for any player to deal with simply because of their range and because of the Broodlings, which really mess with the AI. He does bring his Roaches up here. Purple does go ahead and bring his Zealots. He's got his Stalkers, but with the Stalkers back here in the back, they're just not dealing the damage. Those Broodlords are just kind of hanging out here, and they are just really wrecking these Stalkers. The amount of damage that they're doing is pretty amazing. Because the AI, again, all these units are going to focus on attacking those Broodlings, which are basically just replenishable, and then you've got these two Broodlords up here just dealing the damage. He does have the rest of these Roaches. Going to go ahead and try and do a little bit more damage. But with the amount of storms that he's doing, he's really not doing a lot of damage. He did go ahead and shut down that attack, but all in all didn't do a whole lot of damage. I am definitely pumping out a lot of Marine Marauders with my Ghost Academy that I have now. I do have the energy researched done, so I am pumping out some more ghosts. Obviously, ghosts definitely a good thing to have, especially when they're doing this Templar and morphing them into Archons. It's just going to deal a lot of damage. Teal's gone ahead and transitioned into some Void Rays. Never a bad unit to have, simply because he knows we're going pretty much all ground army. Void Rays can really do a lot of damage. However, with all of us basically on 2 base still, Purple did never rebuild his expansion, Teal didn't rebuild his, and my brother did not rebuild his, even though these units are still up here. We're going to go ahead and decide to push out. Now, with the amount of units that we know that they have, they shouldn't have a lot, simply because we've been pretty much putting on a relentless assault. So this is a really good thing here. We were able to take out 2 or 3 Stalkers, which are a little bit out of position, and then there's a small section of Stalkers here, and he's warping in more units. So from that standpoint, he's going to be bringing in his units a little bit at a time. Anytime an opponent brings in their units just a few at a time, that's when you really need to continue the attack, because you're going to be able to focus all of your firepower on these 3 or these 6, and then a couple more, and then a couple more, and the amount of damage that you're going to do is going to be a lot greater than if they were to take their full army and attack your full army. You're going to end up a lot further ahead. So unfortunately, I get a little split up here. You never want to let this happen. Typically when you A move, your units are going to attack whatever's closest. So all of these units were attacking here, while I've got the rest of my units attacking their army. I should have had all of my units attacking this army. That would have been really the most effective way to go about that. So you see the amount of Templar he has, and boom, there goes the Storm. Actually, I don't believe I had a Ghost in this army, so I wasn't able to take that. Fortunately, I follow with all my units to that Storm. This is definitely, do not take lessons in evading storms from me, because I am terrible at it. But they're down to their last group of units, basically. Now, they are going to be able to basically destroy our army, but we're going to do so much damage. Pylons going down, the Templars are just wrecking us. But we're going to get in here. Oh, look at those storms, just so devastating. And they're everywhere. The storms are just everywhere, constantly. So, in terms of the amount of damage we're doing, I think we're doing quite a bit in terms of their confidence. We're really pushing them back, and fortunately that's able to give us more confidence in our attack. Now, yeah, a little bit more rage on the Size Storm, because it's just, I think it's just ridiculous that they can warp in with enough energy to immediately do damage. No other race can produce units that quickly, just at the drop of a hat, and then immediately do the amount of damage that Psionic Storm does. It's insane how much damage they can do. And EMP, yes, it is a good counter to it, I will say that much. However, when you're able to warp in a unit and your EMP has already been used, there's really nothing you can do. So there's going to have to be some more creative counters come up with for Templar, because when you're assaulting a base and they can immediately warp in a unit that can wipe out your army, it's going to be really difficult to overcome that. Now, in this match, fortunately, we were able to hold down their expansions. You will see that Purple does have his other expansion going up. These 2 refineries still hanging out here. I'm going to throw up a few pylons, probably put down some more static defenses like he did before. But it's really important to note that they weren't able to retake this expansion. They haven't taken one of the gold expansions in the middle. This expansion was never claimed by anyone. You'll notice that I am attempting to expand here, but I did see Purple moving out. Obviously, he saw me moving out as well and got a little bit hesitant because his army was split up. So one thing that they did really, really well here was that Purple, as opposed to just engaging me, because he did see me and I saw him, as opposed to him just engaging me right away, he waited for his backup. He waited for these extra zealots. These zealots can tank so much damage, especially when they have 2 armor, 1 shield, 3 attack. Those zealots are just going to be able to really eat up a lot of damage, while all these High Templar are going to be able to deal it. Got the Void Rays, the Archons can tank a lot of damage. So with all these units attacking together, obviously a much better plan than if they were to try and attack separately. So I do have some units here, a couple siege tanks, definitely going to be able to create quite a problem for them. I do go ahead and move in here. Boom. We'll take a look at that EMP, just what it did here. All these units, all these without the blue box around them, are without shields now. So basically I just did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 10, 11 times 50. 550 damage with 1 EMP, because all the shields on these zealots are now wiped out. That is an incredible, incredible way to attack. So EMP, from that regard, quite good. They do continue to storm. Fortunately, I've learned how to back up a little bit by this point in the game, so definitely a good thing. I don't think I land any other EMPs, and actually I did land 1 EMP right there, so if we look at that, quite a few of these units in here now without shields as well. One thing to note that that they did quite frequently is that storms do not stack. So if you storm and storm immediately in the same spot, you're not dealing any extra damage, really. You will deal an extra seconds or 2 seconds worth of damage after the first storm stops because the second storm is still going. But what you really want to do in this particular instance is there's units basically all through here. So all of these units could be storms. So if I were a Protoss player laying down storms, I'd lay down one here, 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 and here, just to do the maximum amount of damage across the spectrum that you can do. They do go ahead and finish moving in here. Now that the storms have done the damage to my Marines, unfortunately I'm left with pretty much just medevacs. And medevacs obviously can't shoot air, his roaches can't shoot air, so these void rays are really a problem. I do start to pump out some more Marines. We do have a few here that I will be able to use, hopefully to great effect. Yeah, so those Marines, I'm going to go ahead and work my way over here. One mistake I will make here is that I'm chasing down these void rays, and it's good to get the void ray kill, but that right there was a mistake. I stim everything. Huge mistake. I only want to stim my Marines because that's all I want to keep up with the void ray. I don't need to keep these Marauders after the attack, so I just stemmed and wasted life on 9 Marauders here. Huge mistake. I do get the void ray kill, which is nice, but in terms of when to use a stim, when not to use a stim, that was the time not to stim your entire army. All I needed was to stim my units that were going to be able to actually shoot the air unit. So we continue pumping out units, and now I feel comfortable enough after that attack, after knowing that they just blew their entire army, I do feel comfortable enough to go ahead and expand. Teal's also done the same thing. He obviously has the same confidence to go ahead and bring his units up here. You will see that he has a couple more Void Rays on the way, a couple more Templar warping in. The Blue Zerg player getting some more Zerglings. Ultralisk now on the field, going to be able to deal quite a bit of damage. He does have the extra armor upgrade, so he does have the chitinous plating. Going to be able to really tank a lot of damage for the rest of his units. He does move up here, and since this expansion is not finished, Teal does cancel it. Okay, the blue squares indicate cancel, as opposed to just an explosion. Purple does go ahead and throw down his other expansion down here. This expansion is pretty well saturated. He does have his gas fully mining, but unfortunately, this is a massacre, an absolute massacre. All these probes just returned from mining, and they are just going to try and make their way through the roaches and through the Ultralisk. Now there are all these Void Rays up here doing quite a bit of damage to all these units. However, I think that this is a fair trade to be able to wipe out all of these probes. That is just an insane amount of probes that he was able to destroy. And the Void Rays just don't deal quite enough damage, even charged up to these Ultralisks, to make it worth it. The Ultras are just too fast. So he's going to go ahead and push in here and try and do as much damage as he can, because he doesn't want to get chased all around the map by Void Rays when he has basically no units that he can shoot with. My expansion is now up and running, mainly mining minerals, because you can see my gas income's nearly 1,000, so definitely don't need that. I'm going to push down here with my Marine Marauder force. So a good thing to note is what my brother did here is, number one, he knew that he couldn't attack the Void Rays. Fine. As long as there's units that he is able to attack, sometimes it can be good. It's really a trade-off. If you feel like you have a big enough army that losing some units is no big deal, and you know that you can deal irreparable damage to the opponent, then it's definitely good to go ahead and do that. You will note that he did destroy, gosh, I don't even know how many probes, probably somewhere around 30 to 40 probes, if not more, that were returning from mining. And he lost some roaches, he lost some Ultralisks, but basically Teal's been taken out of the game. Teal has no ability to mine. He has 1,200 minerals and 400 gas, so at most he can warp in maybe a couple of Void Rays or 3 or 4 Templar, but that's it. That's all he's going to be able to bring in. Now, Purple does have some income still coming in, so he's going to still be able to attack. But without Teal in the game, he's going to be hard-pressed to hold the both of us off, especially since I have this expansion and my brother has this expansion going down as well. So dealing that damage and having these units come in and just attack anything that they can possibly attack, do the maximum amount of damage that they can do, since they know that they're not going to be able to run away from these units. It's better to just sacrifice those units, do the damage, kill as many Zealots, as many Templar, as many Stalkers as possible before you lose them. Don't just let them try and retreat to your base, and you know, a few of them may survive, yes, but you're going to end up losing the majority of them, and you've dealt no damage as a result. Now these Corruptors coming over here, they are going to be able to basically wipe out these Void Rays. Corruptors are so deadly in terms of air-to-air damage. Now, a little bit of focus firing probably would have been better here, but again, with the storms, he just wasted at least 5 or 6 storms there That actually looks really cool. I've never noticed that before on pause. 5 or 6 storms there, basically doing absolutely the same amount of damage. So he just completely wasted a bunch of units. Definitely not something you want to do if you're going to be a Protoss player. Now you will see that the rest of these corruptors do go ahead and wipe out those void rays. So now 1,060 minerals, 170 gas. Really not a lot that he's going to be able to do to counter. Purple does have some zealots, some high Templar. Basically, the reason he's producing only zealots is because he doesn't have the gas income to support stalkers or any other type of high-tech unit. He's basically going to just have to go with units that cost minerals and units that cost gas, which is why he has both zealots and high Templar. Now, he does have these morphing into Archons here. I think this is because he used the energy already, but we're going to go ahead and push in here and do quite a bit of damage. And in the end, I'm actually surprised that we were able to take this game. I really didn't expect that we were going to be able to deal this amount of damage, especially with those high Templar. After the first battle, when my army was completely wiped out by high Templar, I was really amazed that we were able to stay alive after that. You will notice the amount of damage done there again. Trying to kite around a little bit because I know that they don't have infinite energy. They will eventually run out. But this particular Ultralist, unfortunately, he can tank the damage quite a bit better than my units can, being so low health. He's going to warp in a few more zealots. You notice that the teal player actually did already leave the game, obviously because he had no minerals left. He donated whatever he had left to the purple player. But the purple player, obviously, his base is under heavy assault now. He's gone ahead and moved in with a few more units, and he is going to go ahead and leave the game. So what that really came down to was our ability to continue to put on pressure, continue to fight off their expansions. This was the one expansion that purple was able to keep, but teal, all in all, he was not able to get a secured expansion and to hold, and with just no income, he's not able to help support his teammate whatsoever. Templar, I think, are a brilliant way to play. They do an immense amount of damage. In team games, it's a little more difficult to tech all the way up to them. Obviously, it was very effective in this game because we all had a macro game mindset we were looking towards. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this helps you look at how to overcome Templar. Sometimes it can be by brute force. Sometimes you have to use those EMPs. Sometimes you have to use fungal growths or some other things just to help wipe them out. But Templars can really be a problem. I think it's a problem that all of us are going to face eventually as Protoss becomes the race to play, it seems like. So if you guys have any questions or comments, you can leave them in the comment section below. If you feel like this has helped you out, feel free to subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.